In this video, we are going to discuss the science of habit development and how you can use that science to develop better, more productive habits. What would you change about yourself? I mean, if you could. Do you bite your nails like me? Procrastinate? Leave your clothes in the dryer until they're out of style? If you struggle to break bad habits, science says it's not altogether your fault. A major factor is that you simply have not been taught the correct way. Welcome to another episode of Advice from a Jackass. My name is Romany Malco. I am the founder of the PEP, the People's Empowerment Platform, where growth-oriented people come together to discuss the possibilities of holistic success. We cover everything from psychological wellness to financial integrity and everything in between. Let's get it started. So what is a habit? In simple terms, a habit is something your brain learns to do automatically as a reaction to specific triggers in specific environments. For instance, when you put on your shoes, you don't think about whether the laces go left over right or right over left. Your brain just ties them on autopilot. But why? To know why, you'll need to know how habits are formed. And this part is even more important than you realize right now, but I will explain in a minute. Susan Courtney of Johns Hopkins University is famous for the saying, neurons that fire together wire together. This is the science behind what's called a habit loop. First, there's a trigger that tells the brain to go from thinking mode into autopilot mode. Second, there's the behavior itself known as the routine. Finally, there's the reward, something your brain likes enough to store this habit loop for future use. That's it. Trigger, routine, reward. Repeat that loop enough times and you have a habit. It's important to know that this process influences a huge part of your life. According to habit expert and author Charles Duhigg, 45% of what we do every day feels like decisions, but it's actually habit. So now that you know about habit loops, you might wonder, how do we know all this? Though psychologists and marketers have known about habit loops for hundreds of years, modern science can finally demonstrate this at a cellular level. A great example comes from Dr. Nicole Calicos and her team of researchers at Duke University. They developed sugar habits in half of a group of mice. They discovered the mice with sugar habits were wired to respond to triggers they associated with sugar rewards, even though the sugar rewards had stopped coming. The changes in the brain were so powerful that it was possible for the scientists to determine which mice had formed sugar habits just by looking at their brains in a petri dish. The habit had actually changed the physical brains of the mice. Scientists also saw these changes happen across the entire area of the brain responsible for habits, not just specific brain cells. This reveals that one bad habit can change your brain chemistry to make you more likely to pick up other bad habits. So yes, habits are likely to change your brain, but how do you change your brain back? Luckily, science has some really useful answers for us. Now, I know this seems overwhelming enough to make you want to watch The Office on Netflix for the 20th time, but I have good news for you. You've already taken the first step by watching this video. According to Dr. Nicole Calicos, as long as you understand the triggers and rewards of your habits, they become much easier to change. So you've already done one step. What's step 2 to changing your habits? According to Professor Wendy Wood, many of our behaviors are triggered by everyday environments, even though people think they're making choices all the time. They're focused on the behavior rather than the trigger and reward. Since we know habits are solidified by triggers and rewards, if you want to create good habits, you'll need to reward yourself for the behaviors you want to adopt. To drop bad habits, you'll have to eliminate environmental triggers. Professor Wood found that students who moved to dorm rooms with TVs in different locations had much easier times breaking their TV habits. Science shows us that physical locations are some of the most powerful cues to automatic behavior. If you change the environment, the behavior is much less likely to trigger. For example, if you want to quit smoking, it's easiest to start on vacation because your usual triggers aren't present, which is odd to me because I usually don't smoke until I'm on vacation, especially if I go to Jamaica. You can change your habits if you change your environment. Now, I'm not saying that this is the right way because I don't believe that we can run from our issues, but I do know people who were in counterproductive relationships and they actually picked their behinds up and moved out of the damn state to get away from the person that they kept getting back with and breaking up with and getting back with and breaking up with, moved to another state, and suddenly they were living a life that I thought was almost impossible for them. You know, they got kids, they're settled down, they're happily married. So I'm not saying that that's the case for every single person, but apparently changing environment was necessary for this particular person to make the changes that she needed to make in her life. Superstore Target uses this psychology in its advertising to get its customers to form new habits. Target knows that the biggest flexibility in your shopping habits is when you have a kid and all your old routines have to change. Slick. They just slick with it though. So they do anything to convince pregnant women to shop there, knowing that when a new habit is formed, it's going to be very hard to break, especially if you're not conscious of it. Woo, let me tell y'all something. Marketing is no joke. So now you know how habits are formed, and you know that environmental triggers and rewards are the keys to changing habits. There's only one thing left to do. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Once you've started a new habit loop, the key to success is repetition. Tara Swart, senior lecturer at MIT, says we can only establish new habits through repetition. But how long does it take though? According to Professor Swart, depending on the complexity of the activity, you'll need anywhere from 2 to 4 months to form a new brain map as complex as the one you are replacing. Don't set yourself up for failure by thinking you can do it in a week. But Dr. Swart did have some tips on how you can speed up the process. First, if you want good habits to take root, give yourself big rewards. The bigger the reward, the more likely the habit is to take root. For instance, I'm trying to get into the habit of hanging up my coat and putting it in the closet when I walk into the house rather than just kind of taking it off and draping it over the back of a chair. So I went out and bought myself a Bentley. Second, try to do that habit every day at the same time. This too will help to speed up habit formation. A slightly different approach to habit formation is the go slow method, advocated by James Clear. He says the key to habit formation is to pick a goal so small that you can't help but achieve it. Then, very slowly increase the goal. This way, you turn the creation of habits into a habit itself to help you achieve your goals. It's clever, right? But I will say that this James Clear method of choosing these goals that you can't help but achieve, there is some truth to it. There is a good point to it, especially when you're dealing with someone who has a learning disorder. And if you want to get this document in a nice formatted sequence that you can look at and review for yourself and use as a reminder, please go to petrequest.com. Click the little button that says free download and I will get it to you. Now, some of y'all probably had the same concern I had. What about teaching an old dog new tricks? Maybe you're concerned that you're past the age of being able to learn new habits. Well, according to a review of 152 studies, not 152 people, 152 different studies. Though it's true that our brains are more malleable the younger we are, you are never too old to change. Your personality and habits can continue to change well into your 80s and beyond. Don't think about change being hard because you're older. Just realize that right now is the easiest it will ever be for you to change your habits. There's really no reason to wait. So just a quick recap of what we covered so far. We've learned that habits are a trigger, routine, reward loop. Knowing this is the key to change. If you want to kick bad habits, you'll need to eliminate the triggers. If you want to create good habits, you'll need to reward yourself for starting them. Y'all want to see my Bentley? And if you want these changes to stick, you'll need to keep going for at least 2 months. It might not be easy at first, but nothing worth doing ever is. I don't know though. I don't know. I've had some easy girlfriends and we lasted a long time. You can't do anything about mistakes of the past, but you can do something about mistakes of the present. Oh, wait. I have a question. What environmental change do you plan to make to help yourself form your new habit? Yo, if you find this information useful, please share it. And like I said, follow me at petrequest.com. This way I can notify you myself when I post dope videos like these. So that's all I have for the science of habit development. Maybe we can continue the conversation on a Facebook Live. But my name is Romany Malco. I am the founder of the PEP, the People's Empowerment Platform. And this concludes another episode of Advice from a Jackass.